What does money have to do with anything? So do we actually have any questions? Do we have any um, points we'd like to address? Any starting dilemmas or finishing dilemmas of the character understanding where they are? Do we remember where we last left?
Yeah, Theo and Maddie were having a drink, and Hestia was having a rough time with a mortal at her shelter. Uh, but beyond that, my memory is pretty fuzzy.
Okay, that's a good start. That's a good base and generalized understanding of where we are. That is, in fact, not that far off. Hess, Theo, same question, same hope.
Um, Hess was closing on Donnell, and he is looking rough. We are trying to figure out what to do about the fact that Hess knows he's pretty much dying. She doesn't know all of the details, but she knows enough to realize how he's looking. Maddie and Theo had just returned from their outing. We're all kind of converging together. We're dealing with Theo coming down post frenzy, and we need to handle the whole Sire snagging his brother and the questions therein that are continue to.
Excellent. We like this. That is exactly predominantly where everyone is. Again, we have the generalized idea. We know where everyone is, which is a great place to start. Sans one thing, one important major first step for us to immerse ourselves in these characters' existence, to slip on their skins and look through their eyes, to feel their unbeating hearts in our chest. And that most important first step is, as always and endlessly, my thanks for your time, your efforts, your energy. This hobby means a lot. We don't get old and stop playing. We stop playing and get old. Nothing we can do about our physicality, but our minds, our envisionings that we can keep as young as possible by engaging in play. And that's what we are here to do. And so, without much further adoing until we don't, this is officially Soup City Sins, Sheltered or Saved. Tonight's episode entitled Breaking Promises is Proof Enough. When we last left our coterie, our triptych, our trio, the heroes of our imaginations and the enemies of their own happiness, Madeline and Theo were in fact returning to the shelter. As they are returning to the shelter via the parking garage to the west of the shelter, exiting through the parking lot into the back spaces of the shelter itself, not the haven, they find steps from closing on Donnell, and the three are much like a late 80s wine cooler mispronounced reunited. Much like a song from the late 70s and early 80s, they are reunited once again. And as they reunite, as they are close proximity to one another, Theo, Maddie, Hestia, each of them carrying the weight of their decisions, the straw of their inaction, and the lodestone of whatever and every bit of guilt they had felt. For Theo, somewhere out there in the dark, he, his brother, the safe, human, lasting immortality of him is in the clutches of the very thing that ended his existence, that demands the one thing he can't offer, the one thing he can't do, the one thing he refuses to accept. For Maddie, the realization that while she did not cause the end of a person directly. Her efforts made it possible for Hestia. Balance and burden of responsibility. The acceptance of what is while still striving for what could be. Looking at Donnell's face, looking at the haggard edges of him, the frayed ends of him, and then looking back toward Theo and Maddie, closing, like the inexorable hands of time seeking to latch fingers around your throat and end you through slow, careful, constant pressure. The burdens of responsibilities sit bright and ardent in your view. You are responsible for. You are accountable for. And yet, under your care, under your watch, time, as always, the thief forever has run amok. And with those moments sitting there on their chest, playing havoc with their thoughts, tempting and teasing, toying and poking the bear of their beast, we dive into this moment.
Hey, Hestia, is something wrong?
Seems like there's never enough time for everything that needs to get done. We have to discuss some things. You, me, and Theo, but I need to discuss something else with somebody else first. So why don't you and Theo duck into my office for the minute, and I will handle anything here, and I will be there shortly.
Sounds good to me. Theo?
If we must, I guess we can go into your office, but that seems very, very Mother Bear about to give us punishment sort of thing. But if we must, he says with an exaggerated sigh.
I mean, if you want me to put your business out on Front Street, we could do that too, but I would prefer, or sure that you would prefer, privacy.
Yes, Mother. He walks towards her office.
Maddie follows him.
Just looks at the back of him as he's walking away like, I hate you so much.
He smiles. Doesn't quite look back, but he knows, he makes it known that he's chuckling internally.
Donnell looks between the two of you all in that manner of the uncle at a backyard cookout. The sort of uncle that is always gets up and fixes his own plate. Always is not far from the cooler of the good drinks. Always off in his own world, but cognizant and aware of everyone. If anything were to go wrong, he would be the one to let you know which cousin, which auntie, which child, which wary, but in his own world. And Donnell sighs, and well, I guess that means break is over. And he takes a second to make it back to his feet. It's been
him before he gets all the way up. Have a seat.
too many breaks tonight. Just not feeling it. This flu is doing me something awful.
This is a sad smile. Because she understands what he's trying to say. But, you know, that is a good point. If you're that sick, sweetheart, maybe we don't get the rest of the Shelter Fget and you take some time.
No, I'm keeping my distance and
No,
doing my
no.
best, but you know how it
Um,
takes a couple of weeks to get out your system.
no. Don't do this.
Promise, I'm not contagious. I have no fever right now. And I didn't have a fever before I left home yesterday.
I don't want to do this. Administrative leave. Effective immediately. You will be paid during your time off, but I'm giving you 2 weeks administrative paid leave. Rest.
I won't be able to if I'm not here. There's nobody else who knows all of the ins and outs. Amalia can handle the kitchen. That much I've seen more than I should. But nobody else knows the vendors. No one else knows anything. It's compartmentalized. The closest we got to actually being able to do it are Dee's sister.
Are you really gonna make me trespass you?
Please don't. Nobody else knows as much about keeping this place going except for me. And I'm not trying to be a hero. I'm not trying to be a martyr. It's literally that flu that I had last week, and it's still kicking my ass, but I can push through. And I made sure that I wasn't no fever,
But I don't
no
want
stomach
you to
issues.
push through. I want you to get better. And you can't do that here, stressing yourself out. So, I am serious. Look me in my eyes when I'm telling you. Go home and rest, or else.
He all starts humming, I need a hero.
I will. Let me finish helping Amalia through this last service. And then I'll go home and I'll call and get everybody doing what they're supposed to be doing. Because without Sebastian there at the front desk, your replacement, she's fine and she's coming along. But she's still 3 months away from doing half the stuff that Sebastian used to do. She almost there, but she ain't there right now. And the Darcy's sister and her little Bobsy twin, we don't have them on day shift anymore. They just show up whenever they want at night. And Julio, which ain't really his name, his real name is a super long piece of shit that is clearly his real name, and Julio is his fake identity. So he can't be around too often when the police are here. He does good and is mostly invisible, but he still haven't gotten to the second story dealing with all of the rats that we're getting in. They've gotten a lot better. We haven't seen as many of them, but we know there's a hole somewhere up there because we've plugged and poisoned. Oh, excuse me. All the holes on the first floor. The hospital, which we still haven't torn down.
Okay, no, we're not tearing the hospital down. Calm down.
That's got to be where they at, and we plugged all the holes from there. We haven't been able to get anybody inside safely to lay bait and trap for them. So there's nothing we can do except for be appreciative that they're not all over. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
I know. I'll worry about
we can
that.
We can give you the extermination if that's what you want. That's fine.
Yes.
But then we get the lawyer has
people here better than I do just yet. Pick you one person that's ready to almost graduate out of here and offer them a job and get them up to speed over the phone, Donnell. But if I catch you
All
here
right, all
tomorrow
right.
night, I will trespass you. I'm not kidding.
I will make sure you will not catch me in this building tomorrow night. I promise.
Okay, I'm trusting you.
You gonna be hiding all day instead of just being in there built working?
Do you hear that?
No, I could have sworn I told somebody specifically to take their ass on.
No, no, no,
No.
no, no. Like, listen, listen. And he leans and wavers in the wind. It's that sort of wavering he doesn't realize he's doing, but you can see the weakness in the muscle. You can see how much effort it actually is. And unlike you, he is not dead, which means there are physiological responses. There's a small patina of sweat sticking to the jawline and at the neck. You're sure that his undershirt may not be soaked, but is probably very close to it. The effort of standing upright and continuing to move is having a toll. And you are sure that he had something viral or the flu or whatever, but you are also a creature of the night. You are a dead thing. And while blood calls to blood, death calls to the dead. Feels as if somewhere out there in the darkness of things yet to be, someone is standing at your graveside. Quite walking over it, but disrespectfully right at the very edge where the dirt meets the grass. And you hear it too. There's a small, almost nothing whisper on the wind. Being here at the shelter, being a resident who has lived at the shelter, being the warm, dark center of responsibility here at the center, there's a certain pressure that comes with the job, both physically, emotionally, and very much spiritually. The convergence of various ley lines, various dragon roads into this place, ebbing and flowing with the tides of life. You grow accustomed to a certain spiritual emanation, a certain weight. And that small something you hear very much sounds like hoofbeats. Like somewhere out there in the dark, there's a sheriff's posse hunting for their prey. You know it's not real, but you look toward Donnell, and it's like looking at a wanted poster for those non-physical beings, those entities, spirits out there in the dark. You can almost see the bounty on his head. While you've never been a fan of Western, Ray Charles and Willie Nelson did a version of Seven Spanish Angels, which starts to play. In the line about, he looked down into her brown eyes. He said, "Say a prayer for me." Something about they could hear the riders coming, and they wouldn't let them be. Something, on and on. But the message of the song resonates with you in this moment. Because even driven to the end of his endurance, driven to and past the breaking point of other persons, there is a indefatigable willingness to live by the judgments of his heart, to be of service despite everything. And he would not easily go into that good night quietly slip away. He would fight, hold, as long as he was able to help some other soul, some other being. In the office, so the shelter is a building that has existed here in various states for a very, very long time. It was once, during the late 30s and early 40s, a creme de la creme hotel. It catered local movie stars, local actors, because this was just at the burgeoning of actors being considered more than beggars with jobs. This was just after Hollywood became Hollywood and there was money to be had. And so the actors were no longer praying and singing and dancing for a coin to pay for their beer. And while Chicago is a hell of a thing on the body and mind during winter, during its summer months, during the early days of herbs and horto being put into effect, a city in a garden, during its outward expansion, eating up all of the suburbs, the small towns and villages around its central hub, it was a mecca of hedonism on the inland sea that is Lake Michigan. It was a escape. This is before air flight became all the rage. It wasn't smack dab in the middle of flyover country. You had to get through Chicago to get everywhere else. All of the railroads came here. It was easy enough to get here, this center of the country, this oasis. And this building was on par with the Carlton Ritz, was on par with the Palmer House, was on par with the Hilton. It was center of hedonism, of excess. During its downturn, when the nation lost its money, it became a respite, became a sanitarium, became an asylum, became a hospital. It mendicated to the poor, the impoverished, and those in needing of mending. All of those energies, all of those emotions leaking and ebbing into the very foundations of this building. And while it's almost invisible, there are almost no signs of it, unless, of course, you happen to be at that right place along the hall and you see that actual bronze placard, or you happen to see some of the original tile work placed on the walls underneath all of the dry wall and reallocated walls and the paint and the wood paneling and the wallpaper and all of the many layers, like the rings of a tree hiding what it once was, but it's still there underneath it. So as you enter into the small now office, you, Maddie, and you, Theo. Maddie, you've only been here under 24 hours. So the chill that you've always felt in this place when you were here while living didn't affect you now. Yet it does. You feel that bracing chill racing up and down the spine, just like in the good old days, the bad old days, when you and your sister were treated like actual humans. You weren't invisible here. You weren't something to be ignored and stepped past and purposely turned into a living ghost. Not when you were here, but there was still that chill, one that you didn't feel and don't feel until now. And Theo, the office. As many times as you've been here on premises, it's hard envisioning the office as the office. Most people think the office is a place of power, it's a place of refuge, it's a place where you get comfortable, you dig in and you click clack along your keyboard for hours on end, or, play your games on your computer. You have 5 different laptops going, 2 different desktops. You have the huge monitors plugged into one, the several other slightly larger, huger monitors plugged into the other, and the office is a place of power. But it's hard envisioning this office as that when 18 out of 20 times when you all met, when you all were meeting, where the center of the idea of this coterie is, it was the morgue. It's the real heart of this coterie. It's the real heart of this business. The real heart of this building. So as you all make your way to the office here on this floor, in the actual shelter. What are we discussing, folks? There's a lot.
So, so what happened back there at the platform? Theo?
Well, it would make more sense to say it once instead of multiple times, like when Hestia comes here and asks the same question. But, Reader's Digest version, once a year, on the day that I die, my sire thinks it's hysterical to kill someone who's near and dear to my heart.
Who is your sire?
Doubt if you would know her, but her name is. I really rather not say, but I guess we really don't have a choice. But her name is Luc Romas de Leon.
She sounds like a fucking dick.
Oh, she gives new meaning to the word.
So,
And she does it just to get her jollies.
yeah. It seems like. Well, how did you come to favor the way you feed?
Sire,
Yeah. How old are you?
about 50, 56, give or take.
How long have you been 56?
About 12 months and 13 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really old compared to Hestia. She's much older than I am.
How old is she?
But I know she's older than I am. Records go cold after a while.
Yeah.
But you should ask her. I'm sure she'll get a kick out of it.
Maybe. I mean, I don't see why not.
Oh, I'm sure she will. She will. Definitely. He says with a mischievous grin. So, how did you end up with those weird group of with the cult?
Uh, well, it was nice here, but I didn't really feel like I had much of a purpose, and the cold offered me one, even if that purpose was
Lunch?
manipulating other people into, I suppose, into being the food for the leaders of the cult.
Well,
And
as
the
long
ego
as one
boost.
has a purpose.
Was that?
As long as one has a purpose, I suppose. Even if it is
Kat
lunch.
opens up the door to the office, rubbing her temple. Alright. uh, okay. Shuts the door behind her, looks at the two of them. So, yeah. Are you feeling better now that you had something to eat?
I'm feeling much my old self.
Great. Great. So a pain in the ass. Good. Anyway, so yeah, that was her sire, I'm guessing. You said that I got that part. And that was your brother. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, why is your sire taking your brother? And why
Oh,
is that a problem?
well, what had happened was, on the day that she killed me, just for shits and giggles, she finds it to be wonderfully hilarious to murder someone who's close to me.
Hmm, that sounds like some sort of message or some sort of thing she wants you to understand, but you haven't figured it out yet. So she's trying to teach you, but you're hard headed. What is it that you think that she is trying to teach you by doing this? Well, I mean, again, very heavy handed and shitty of her to do, but why?
She says something. You must learn what it means. Something. And until you do, I'm going to keep doing this.
So that's not a priority for you figuring out what the fuck it is she wants you to learn, so she'll stop?
She's batshit crazy. What do you think you can learn from someone who's batshit crazy? Unless you're
What their blood
Malkavian.
tastes like.
Huh?
There. But she wants
feel
me
like
to
there's a lesson.
learn how unimportant things are or something.
Does she have any other challengers?
She tends to murder people when they no longer have use, so potentially? She
So you
might
have
even
said,
kill my brother and turn him into one just for shits and giggles.
we're trying to avoid that, but the point is, we need to know why we would need to go get him back. Because I don't like the idea of her just killing people to be killing people, especially since it's you caring about them that puts them in danger, which means everybody here at the shelter could be in danger, which I don't like. I'm not a fan of that whole idea, because if she thinks that you care about any one of these people here and she goes snatching somebody, because of you, me and you gonna have a problem. So you need to figure out no, it is her fault because she wants you to figure out what it is that you need to figure out. So that's what we need to work on, so she'll stop.
Okay, alright. Let me think of everything that she's told me. And give me a few seconds to just process. And I'll go ahead and tell you verbatim what she said. And you tell me what it sounds like. Okay, storyteller, can I
Okay.
make an insight roll to do recall of what it was that she wants? Like the last message when she murdered the last person last year.
Nope. It didn't matter to him. It's not important to him. He is chalked her up to being insane. He has absolutely ruled her consideration out of pocket. She doesn't matter until she takes from him, and even then, she really doesn't matter as far as he's proven to himself. His intransigence, his disbelief, his unwillingness is very much an act of will. There's no role there. He knows what she stated, which is his unbiased, blatant honesty. As long as it's not there, as long as he places verbally no value in anyone else, lying to himself, she will prove that that is in fact a lie. Every single year.
So, Thea, you said she's done this to you before?
Yes, multiple times. She
Do you know
says
where she does this?
all over. All over. The only thing she says is something, blatant honesty until she's going to prove that I'm not being honest with myself.
Honest about what?
If I knew that, she wouldn't probably murder somebody because her game would conclude.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, no matter what she wants, she must see a sunrise.
You're denser than a
I'm good with
fruitcake,
that.
because that's what the fuck this is telling me. You're killing people that you care about, and continuing to kill people that you care or show even a slight amount of care about. So by constantly taking away people that you care about, he's trying to prove to you that you care. And you're lying to yourself that you don't care.
Okay.
And by continuing to pretend that you don't care what she does, he's going to keep trying to prove you wrong, that you do care what she does. That's the thing she's trying to teach you, that you care. But then she's probably wrong, because obviously if you haven't figured it out by now, you actually don't fucking care. So she's wasting
Well, I
her
showed
time
her
and
that I
mine.
cared about you, and you're still here.
Are you, Hess? Are you still here? In consideration of everything that you just heard, and in the very real fact that you know what's going on with your lawyer trying to protect you from something and someone by making the shelter not a target. Are you still here? Have you been targeted? As a matter of fact, where is Aaron? Yes, Dax is a high-ranking member of his particular clan, but from every little spy novel that you read, the only time spies get pulled out is if the enemy is too dangerous for them to keep operating in that area. And not for nothing, even with all the help from other people, isn't this shelter more belabored now than it has been in a very long time? Hasn't Gid been more active than he has in a very long time? Just being honest with yourself, you do realize that he has been around quite often in the past, but never so blatant nor direct. Just a face in the background versus someone who's actually talking to you. As a matter of fact, it's been several nights before now, and Miriam hasn't been seen. And hearing what you've just heard, a kindred who is willing to do anything and everything to prove her point year after year after year in a ritualized manner. What does that sound like to you?
I don't know how to say this, because it's gonna sound probably a little fucking crazy, but I think somebody's using what your sire is doing to you as a jump off or connection to get me to finally lose my ever loving mind and give this place up. They're slowly but surely stripping away every bit of support that I could lean on or have. My lawyer, Aaron, my staff members, hoping that I'll break. And it just so happens to be that, yes, the coincidence is there that your sire does this shit to you every year, but by connecting us two together, it also paints a target on my back bigger than I've ever had painted there before. And everything is happening at once. Get me to finally fucking break after all these years and run screaming into the night, giving the person that currently has hold over the shelter spiritually what the fuck they want.
Why didn't you tell me that? I could have actually did some internet sleuthing and found out who was behind it.
Sophia is behind it. At least that part of it. Sophia tricked me into giving her spiritual control over the shelter, and I haven't attuned myself back trying to take it from her, because technically I'm not supposed to be able to do that, and I need to find a way around that. But at the same time, she spiritually owns it and now wants to physically own it so that she could kick everybody out of here and make it into what she wants. So if I lose the shelter by dint of breaking laws or constant police problems or death unexplained or missing peoples and missing funds, I would have no choice but to give it up. I'm hanging on by a string and it's fraying, but I'm fighting to keep this place, and everybody wants me to know. So she has been not actively causing problems, but the problems that are coming to me have not been dissuaded by any stretch of the imagination, so that I lose everything and give up. And it just keeps growing. It keeps coming. There's, like I said, Aaron being pulled, and your sire popping up this time of the year, and Gid constantly being here, no matter how many times I've tried to stop it. And then every time we turn around Somebody's primogen is trying to get us to do a thing, and we end up having to handle things. And Donna is dying, and I don't know what else to do.
Well, Darnell is easier to fight him.
What? I can't.
Cool. Turn him into a ghoul. And no dying. That one's easier.
You would have me curse him, put him through what we
It's
go
just a
through.
little curse.
I bet we could take
Say
this.
cute. Ellen, you have an idea?
I know that we have surveillance. And surveillance is power.
It looks at Hestier. Someone tried surveillance once. It didn't work out well.
Yeah, because
Everyone-
somebody left our Wi-Fi open to the federal fucking government.
What if I told you we could spy on someone without the use of Wi-Fi? It would be easy too.
Hestier. It sounds like a plan. Or at least the beginning of one.
He just pauses and picks up the landline. Yep.
Well, is that any way to be answer the phone? I know we've come a long way, but I don't believe that we are that fucking casual.
Nice to hear from you too.
You're right. You got off on the wrong foot. I'll call you right back. And the line goes dead.
She hangs it up and looks at it.
Ends ringing again.
That's your dream. Bahar Shelter speaking.
Hey, sorry for taking so long to get back to you. How are you doing this evening?
Wish I could say better, but that's neither here nor there. That's normal. But
My old man had this saying, if wishes were fishes, we'd all swim in the sea. And if wishes were horses, then every pauper would ride.
that's a good saying. That is definitively helpful, yeah. I could see that. I'm sure you have kept up with the news and the grapevine locally.
No, I've been busy. A friend of mine has recently come into some properties, and I've had to visit with them. You got issues that I've been trying to keep from becoming issues, and unfortunately, they are fucking issues. Forgive my French. I don't, je ne sais fucking care right now. Look, we need to talk. We need to meet. I can't do it on your domain because then I'd have to be fucking respectful to your poor decision making. How about the Palmer House Hotel? 2 hours.
Sounds like a plan. I will see you in 2 hours.
Click.
She immediately flops into her chair and smacks her head into her desk. And just sits there for a minute.
Who was that on the phone?
My lawyer. Yeah, he's a special one, that their lawyer. He's
Gotcha.
apparently not happy with some of my decision making, and I have a meeting with him in 2 hours at the Palmer Hotel.
Right.
But until
And
then, yep.
Who are we going to kill?
I wasn't aware that we were going to kill anybody, but at this point,
I vote for my sire.
how well connected are they? Because that could be a problem. See, that's the thing. I am all for it, except for the fact that we don't have permission from the prince to do so, and we have already fucked up royally as far as doing shit that we were not supposed to do and getting caught in it, i.e. those fucking Nosferatu in the beast.
She's more well connected than I am.
At the very least, we can stop her, if not take her out. If we don't know where she's going, I think I know how to find out.
So the easiest way would be to track the Uber Black that she and him got into, so that we know where she might have taken him.
Yeah,
And that's
I was
something
gonna do
that
that.
Theo
actually.
can work on.
Yes, I could do that.
Right. Theo, once you know where that's gone, I can send, what do you call it? Reconnaissance ahead of us.
Okay. Alright. I'll do that as soon as we're done here.
Right. So what do you need to meet your lawyer about?
I need to pretty much just get my shit together. I need to go freshen up, probably change clothes, put on something more professional, make sure that I look human enough to be out and about in the public, and prepare myself for seeing him and getting my ass chewed.
Do you need an entourage?
Yes. There's always safety in numbers. The skills you all bring to bear in a situation together are far more effective, or potentially more effective, than the skills you all have to bring to bear separately. Of course, tactical awareness may not be everyone's strong suit. So decisions lay ahead of you.
It would save me a considerable amount of trying to repeat what is said, should you both come with me, and then that way he's less likely to try to just off me in general. So yes, please, both of you come with me, but in the meantime we can work on Theo's problem.
Alright, then off to the office we go. He starts heading to his office and again trying to penetrate Uber to find out which person did a pickup and where they delivered them to.
It is not a needle in a haystack. It is not that simple. An Uber Black at a downtown, in the loop, in and around Union Station at this hour of the evening with plays beginning, with musicals starting, with hotels doing late check-ins. It is a needle in a haystack of needles. Would you be so kind as to first decide whether you're going to attempt to circuitously winnow down, or are you going to try to brute force it?
First, I'm gonna try to brute force it to get the list of all
Doesn't
of
work
them
that
and
way.
then whittle them down.
Doesn't work that way.
brute
It was an A or B A or B decision.
All right, then whittle down.
Begin the guess. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your wits plus technology DC 4? And while that roll is in the offing, it is 29 and 30 seconds past the hour. It's like a quick 10 and be back here at 40 hours. Testing.
Hello.
Why, hello there.
Still here.
Here is good. So we're just awaiting, and while we await, any questions? Any?
Yeah, you said DC 4,
Mhm.
and I think that's DC 4. Well, it was a success, and now it's a failure.
Yep, that's what happens when you gamble. Sometimes that happens, unfortunately, which means that it is in fact a failure.
Yeah, I know. I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, it's not the better of it's not the better of the roll. It is you make the roll and you decide whether you're gonna risk it all. And if you're gonna risk it all, whatever happens, happens, unfortunately. The best way to view that mechanically in the story, Maddie, I'm taking it that you're, bird dogging Theo as he launches his very wily circuitous hacking of a system, right? Clear? Okay. Well, I guess it's just you and I, Theo. So the best way to view that is what effectively happens as you are literally pulling veritable magic out of the ether of the internet, as you are connecting transponders from the GPS in various rental cars, hired and owned and leased by drivers who have new leases via subcontracting in the downtown area, and you compare those with the interconnected network on Uber. You winnow down which cars are which and which owners are most likely Uber drivers, and you compare those with those who are also Lyft drivers, and you rule those out, and you're doing absolute magic. It gets good to you. The chase, the hunt, and in the doing, when ruling out and taking a left and zigzagging across the internet, backtracking IPs, and otherwise exploiting all of the OSINT tech tools at your disposal, an error in data, or at least what you believe is an error of data, gets ruled out. License plate or SUV. The VIN number doesn't match the license plate, doesn't match the registry, doesn't match the stated owner of the vehicle, and so it goes into the error pile. We, having the omniscient view of what is happening as Theo hunts and chases and makes leaps of illogic that will have Sherlock Holmes standing aghast and agog. We, being omniscient, watch as he rolls out the one needle in that haystack of needles that was very much the golden ticket. It goes into a huge list of other such errors and inconsistencies in data and is ruled out of hand as non-relevant. He latches on to a factually accurate approximation of the car that should have been at that location at the right time, and where it is depositing its guest at the former W Hotel downtown. It is mere blocks away from the Palmer House. He could get there they can get there shortly after the meeting with the attorney. He has not only the factually inaccurate but correct based on his hunt car, but because of his skills at working sideways through the unending sea of data on the internet, he also gets a potential room number of the guest that was in the back or the registry that particular vehicle. While we, the omniscient, removed guests watching, know that car with his brother has every intentions of taking him from this world along Jackson, taking the roundabout view through the park, up Lakeshore Drive, circling off at Grand, taking it down and around, taking the scenic view to the Palmer House Hotel, checking into the 12th floor looking over Lake Michigan. The conversation viewing and veering and wobbling along as your brother discusses his business ventures and how he is, and how his brother, is the real star of the family, but at least now this time he has an opportunity of at least matching some of that mysterious internet California money that the brother's bringing in. He this year for Thanksgiving, they're definitely going to do it up big. He's been saving this bottle of single batch, single pot, single still Jack Daniels from the cask purchased almost a decade ago as a celebration. He'll finally be able to open that bottle with his brother, and they will sit and have a toast and a smoke and do their usual every couple of month checkups. And for the first time, he won't feel like the lesser twin. For the first time, they're going to be able to look each other in the eye on the same keel. And as the conversation continues, to ask all the right questions to get him to open up. Talks about his fiance that he's going to introduce to his brother now that he considers himself a success when this deal goes through. Then he's talking about their old man and how he disappeared, and he still pops up surprisingly now after all this time away every couple of weeks. And then talk about their mother and the home he's looking into purchasing. It's on an estate. It's an honest to goodness estate. There's 4 homes standing in close proximity that when this deal works out, he'll be able to put the down payment down so they all can have land for themselves to look out over. It's up in Vernon Hills. They'll have to leave Chicago, but it's just a hour and a half drive if they take the streets, 35 minutes if they take the expressway. It's perfect. And she continues investing interests and stoking the fires of hope and making sure that she knows that the bank that's handling the arrangements of the business deal, the real estate firm, the address for the estate, the address for the fiance, the address for the mother, all of those little personally identifiable bits of information that, on average, mean nothing. Taken en masse, memorized as if the very world depends on it, could mean much of nothing, or it could be much of everything. Now that we're all back, and you have the right address at the W Hotel, and now that you watch the magic of his fingers flying over the keyboard and how he's literally circumventing security protocols that most people wouldn't think of. You watch as the sheer genius of his skill pulls an impossibility out of the thin air. Again, it's not a needle in a haystack, nothing so simple as that. It is a needle in a haystack of needles, with more flowing in all the time. Hundreds of bits and packets of information flowing by in a second.
Lots of needles, but we need the silver fiat needle.
Yep.
So we don't have any idea whatsoever of where your sire took your brother.
Yeah, you do. The W Hotel.
Oh, okay. I thought that. Okay. Well, time to introduce you all to Jeannie. Jeannie is Madeline's bond familiaris. Familius. So I guess I'll get in character. The hotel, huh? Okay. So I'm going to send a friend named Janie. You may have noticed a mosquito flying around the office. That is my mosquito. And now my mosquito will tell us what we need to know about the hotel before we get there.
When you get there, when you get closer. That's a hell of a flight by wing for such a creature as so small as Genie. You will need to be closer. You will need to be on the same block, if not in the same building. At least for time's sake. Luckily, you all need to head downtown to the W Hotel to meet attorney at law, Mr. Gabriel.
Great, so Jeannie can do surveillance while we're talking to the lawyer.
Knowing when you guys are supposed to meet, and knowing that more than likely they'd bring some card or some PA there for you all to speak to, is there any other information you'd provide to your associates in regards to Mr. Gabriel?
Just so you're aware, he is pretty powerful, has been dead for quite some time. Looks a lot like a famous person, but don't mention who he looks like because he will deny it and probably get fairly upset about it. So, if you notice that, just don't mention it. He's also quite blunt and very much a man of not manners, more protocol. Protocol, that's it. So, politeness is old school manners, that sort of thing is a big thing for him. Just so that you're aware.
Is that a polite way of saying I shouldn't say anything?
Unless spoken to, pretty much yes. Because you would irritate the shit out of him.
I thought so. Just was checking, though. Just was checking.
This is your circus. Just tell me when my cues are.
Sounds like a plan, and Hess will quickly switch out some of her clothing pieces. She keeps her trench because of the pocket, but she puts on a as business as she gets without dressing up as somebody else. So just
Heading
to
south.
reiterate, while we're
Mhm.
in the car, just to reiterate, you greet, you speak to everybody, and you come in, but other than that, don't say Theo unless you're spoken.
What was that?
You say hello, it's polite, so you greet people, but Theo, other than that, unless you're spoken to, don't say it.
Yeah, okay.
Just try to silence me, that's all. She just doesn't want me to say anything. I'm just deep muscle, that's all.
You're also our geek.
That's true.
Mm.
That's true.
So the drive south. Do you all take Western down? Do you take Ashland down? Do you take Sheridan down to Lakeshore Drive? There are several major ways to do it. Those are by far the easiest.
We're gonna go Sheridan.
Right, so you guys get the scenic view. You get the lovely watch the lake do what the lake does. And while it is still early enough in summer that those waters are colder than they seem, it is a life-affirming moment watching the lake crash against the shore, watching the lake quietly rage the dying of the light, watching the lake do things that lakes shouldn't. It is literally operating very much like an ocean. It ebbs, flows, it rushes in, startling those who are along the shoreline, and rushes back away. It reaches farther than some are expecting, and reaches not quite as far as others are hoping. Waves crashing against the shore, shooting skyward 10, 15, 20, 25 feet before gently rocking back out towards its center. Watching the lake at night, all of that darkness and all of that power contained, seeming to do a false charge, well, very much meaning all of the harm that it causes, all of the awe that it inspires. Lake Michigan is one of the most contested lakes on the Great Lakes chain. You've got Chicago, Milwaukee, you've got Gary, you've got pretty much the entirety of the western coast of Michigan. And yet, it's Chicago, of all places, that sits as the king of the lake. It, as a city, as a power, was so self-focused, so self-centered, so audacious in its daring that it reversed the course of a river just so that it could have a vast amount of potable water at its own pleasure. It patented several long dead technologies to assure that of all of the cities, towns, villages, and homes along the lake front, that it was the center of all of that power. Presently, it ties up and restrains nearly every lake-facing settlement, so as they don't have any use, so that they can't affect Chicago's use, and that Chicago can determine their use of all of that power, of all of that might, of all of that glory that is Lake Michigan. There are places that have been turned into ghost towns because of Chicago's avarice over Lake Michigan. And as you all make your way south from Rogers Park along the lake, watching it in action as you meld from one lane to the next, as you make sure you don't miss your right-hand turn off of Lakeshore Drive to circle around towards the Palmer House. It is a thing to behold. And like always, in dealing with the presumptuously ostentatious luxury of places like the Palmer House, it is completely overdone. There's honest to goodness burgundy plush carpeting for you all to travel on your way in. There are doormen and valets afoot. There are luggage men and the like there waiting to help you all disembark from your vehicles, take your keys, get your luggage. They make no never mind to how you all are individually dressed. After all, the rich and wealthy dress in all manner of examples of performative poverty. They're accustomed to it. So much accustomed to it that there's no falsity in their greeting. Good evening, guys. Welcome to the Palmer House. The long brocaded coats that they wear, clearly hot enough to cause Lucifer himself to sweat in hell, worn without so much as a complaint. Crisp polished shoes, slacks pressed so sharply they can slice bread. The overwrought and classic bellman's cap they wear. The spotless white gloves beneath the hem of their cuffs. Then the lights. The sconces with flatteringly bright bulbs. The stonework, the gargoyle sitting at either corner of the highest floor. The unassuming beige edifice of stone. All the mirrors reflecting back your everyday splendor to you as you all make your way in. As you all make your way in, this is the last potentially private conversation that you all would have. Is there anything that you all are reiterating or verifying as to the plan or the lack thereof?
I'm gonna let Jeannie out, and he'll be able to gather information, particularly about where Theo Sire's room is and any dangers that might be surrounding it, and report back to me, and I'll report back to both of you about that. I imagine we're doing the lawyer first.
Yes, you're at the Palmer House.
Where's this hotel?
No, the W is near the Palmer House, but not the hotel.
Close enough to count, far enough to hurt. So, as you all are planning for your later visit to the Palmer House, Is there any plan afoot for at present?
Theo doesn't say anything besides hello.
Essentially.
I don't know what he is going to say to me. Know that I can mostly handle myself. Even if it seems like he's insulting me, I have to take it, so let me take it, basically. But if you feel like you have anything helpful, and I mean truly helpful, to add, then do so. Otherwise, again, I am his main target, so.
You got it, Hest.
Yeah,
play
you
death.
got this. What's your composure?
Mine?
Yes, both.
3.
Nice. You're very well. Theo?
This is at 3 for
Both of you guys
composure.
so all of you all are average and high average in regards to keeping yourselves contained. You all are also dead things with only the very vaguest sense of actual true emotion. What is your emotional center is your beast. And it is just as determined, just as wily, just as smart, just as skilled at manipulating events to your own ends as you are. In situations such as this, in the public purview or in the almost public purview, hopefully you all will find yourselves in the suite. But if not, if you are meeting at one of the 4 astronomic palaces inside the Palmer, maintaining your sense of self will be the most penultimate thing. The second is leaving with a sense of awareness. The devil's in the detail. And you can't beat the devil unless, of course, you see it. This is a reminder in regards to while Theo and Maddie are dominantly okay when it comes to their hunger. Your emotions, just like for the living, affect your sense of hunger. So as you all make your way into the Palmer, and as you're loitering around the lobby there on the mezzanine level, a gentleman about just over 5'10", dressed in a everyday casual business suit, i.e. a two-piece, semi-dark color. It's not quite gray, it's not quite blue, it's that odd in the middle shade of both and neither. Crisp white shirt, dark tie. Again, neither black nor gray, just that charcoal, one of those mini charcoal shades there in the middle. Dark enough to seem black from a distance, light enough to be something other than. His hair, you expect when looking on a person such as him to be slicked back and oily enough to count as a land spill. Count as an oil spill on some body of water. It is not. It's styled and coy, but there's something older about whatever product you use. It's not oily and slick and shiny, but it is maintaining. Excuse me. Would either of you be Miss Green and Potty?
That would be me.
I assumed as such. I was told that you were undersized. If you'll follow me, I will escort you to Mr. Gabriel and his awaiting party. Before we go any further, I know that we're in public, so when we step into the elevator, if you have any weaponry, blades, mace, taser firearm, I'll need to take that from you all. Out of respect.
Of course.
Gabriel knows what I usually carry, and I will give you the wrist blade, but my personal blade does not leave my person.
Would you like to obtain a storage locker?
I believe that's what we went through before, so yes, that would be the best bet.
Excellent. Follow me. He steps over to the concierge desk, exchanges a few undervolumed words with the concierge, and she looks over the desk, sighs, stands up, and looks down over the desk to see you, Hestia. Looking at him, just sighs and shakes her head, steps back into the back spaces behind the wall that has the Palmer house there, comes back with a key, and right this way, please.
She follows, not taking it personally about her height.
Leads you to a bank of post office boxes that are built into the wall. And of course, like everything else about the Palmer, it is in fact overdone and overwrought. They are polished, gold-esque, bronze and copper, polished to a near reflective shine. There are 2 keys on each box, and she inserts both, turns it, and then steps away for you to put up whatever inside you need to.
I hate this because it makes her feel naked, but she retrieves both her spell blade and her wrist sheath and the other hidden smaller knife that she's on her, and puts them carefully in the box, and then puts the box back in and takes one of the keys after it's turned and locked.
Maddie's got nothing.
He gives his knife to Hestia. Here you go.
Well, yeah, there we go. And throws his in there.
As you lock up the box, the guard, who you realize is literally just a guard, looks between you 3, leans in and whispers something to the
hold on.
concierge.
Yo,
Yes.
she looks at him pointedly. Both.
He gives her the handgun.
Thank you.
Multiverse. 10 minutes from that moment where the knife was stored inside the box and locked up with all the other armaments. 10 minutes from there. The distance of walking back towards the elevator, up the elevator, towards the penthouse where a gathering of various kindred are there. Right before you all enter into the gathered assemblage, a double check, a additional pat down is done. The moment the gun is discovered, there is, of course, Hestia attempting to defend. There is Theo smirking like, hey, well, I forgot about it. There is Maddie looking back and forth, taking it all in. And then there's the setting that happens. Penthouses are chosen by kindred not as just a symbol and a sign of their authority and dominance. It is an easy way to dispose of those you'd rather not deal with. Simply maintain them being locked out on the terrace as the sun crusts the other gilded towers. And somewhere around noon, the cleaning staff comes and sweeps up the very large pile of clearly cannabis that was smoked the night before. Vacuums and dustbins. But in this one, there's no such thing. There's no such moment. There's no assault being viewed. There's no exchange of derision. There's no combat that takes place as you all reach the door and are paused. And the gentleman apologizes. I trust you all, but I wouldn't be doing my job. I still have to double check. And you all are given a pat down. Anyone seeking to hide a particular weapon or additional weaponry, be so kind as to roll your highest. Dexterity and larceny to have secreted it upon your person.
There should not be any extra weapons, but okay.
Yeah, Theo has nothing on it.
Same for Maddie.
As you all are given the most thorough massage, he thanks you for your patience and your calm and for being honest, and he pauses before opening the door. You know, just between the four of us, usually at this point when I open the door, I'd have to clear my throat so that the guards inside know that you all are carrying something or we're carrying something. There'd be a fight, and before you know it, there'd be fewer of us leaving than came here the entire year. Thank you for not putting more blood on my hands. And he opens the door, and instead of clearing his throat, he turns to his right and waves. When he does this, there is a relaxing breath taken by those guards inside the door, watching for those who come and leave. You are led through a very typical storybook, overly gilded and luxurious penthouse out to the veranda, where the attorney, wearing glasses and sitting with his back to the Chicago skyline, sits. At either end of the table is a gentleman who looks, well, the very opposite of what a gentleman is. He's wearing a Burger King paper crown wrapped around a black top hat. He's covered in a shawl and is kept high and tight as if he's trying to shield himself from the light breeze and wind being this high up. Getting closer, you realize that he is the victim of pyrotechnics at the very minimum. His skin is cracked and scarred and healing, but not healed. At the other end of the table is a gentleman who looks very much like a police detective. He's wearing a everyday stylish workday suit, the sort of thing you could run in, leap in, and what have you. He's wearing a big bright tie to match the jacket. The shirt is staid and relatively well made. It hugs the muscles underneath his suit coat. There are additional taped chairs at the table for you all to take your places and have a seat. And floating, hanging out in the corner of the veranda, is a woman dressed in all of the fineries from somewhere in the Middle East. There's the shawl and the sumptuous dresses and the head wrap that barely covers the hair, there's a certain poise as she looks off and takes in the view. But it is clear that she is as much part of this meeting as you all are. Good of you all to show. Astrid, I'm sure that you know Mr. Holty and my good friend Maxwell. Me and you hanging in the air.
Good evening to the both of you. This is Theo and Madeline.
Charmed.
Evening.
Pleasure. Evening. Pull up and sit down. We were just discussing a few things. I'm sure that you and he sighs, looking toward the corner of the veranda. And it's clear that he doesn't want to extend the courtesy necessary, but he also doesn't want to not extend the courtesy necessary. It's devil in a hard place. Finally sighing, he allow me to, while not taking direct part in this meeting, introduce you to Miss Alkindi. She is, how do you say, an emissary, a loose business associate and friend of the city. But she isn't actively here in any particular role, if you get my drift. She turns and inclines her head and then turns back.
Just sits and leaves space. She sits herself directly across from him, as in leaves space on either of her side for whoever wants to take to the left and the right.
Once you all settle, he takes out a cigar and nips off the top quarter of it before finally nipping the end to take a small bite of it, wetting the tip as he does so. Forgive me, it's a terrible fucking habit, but I just can't get rid of it. I've always liked a nice cigar, especially on a night like tonight, when everything seems to be moving at less than optimal pace. Let's handle a little old business first. So you know, there are several interested parties in obtaining shelter by hook and by crook. We have been staving them off and making sure that we are not taking any municipal funds, neither municipal, local, county, state, or federal. This has put us in something of a bind. And because of this, other entities have sought to work counter to our purposes and squeeze us into insolvency. Working on buying vendors and suppliers, and you get the drift. Hostile takeover in the most indirect manner possible. This has been going on for a very long time, since you had that cop killed months ago.
Doesn't react when he said since he had the cop killed. She's kind of brow slightly quirked. I understand.
You understand that I'm part of a consortium, yeah?
No, I thought you were your own person. Your own.
I am my own person. I am my own mind and thought, and am empowering you as I always have been. I'm always looking out for your interests. You know I got your back. When nobody else has your back, I got your back. And so, because of this, my consortium has decided to take more of a direct interest into what you and the shelter are getting up to. Because right now we've got pressure from several parties outside of our network of friends, outside of our space book friends. Not even friends of friends of friends. They're just fucking problematic assholes.
I'm aware some of that hit me tonight as due to how many things that I counted on have been stripped away from me and in the process to get me to give up. Yeah, that's become fairly clear for me recently. You know the wording of the contract as to how somebody would gain control of things. What I need to know is how to get the things that were taken from me back. I know
Well,
she's not actively causing problems, but she is happily reveling in the problems that have existed so that I will crumble and give her the rest of the control over the shelter. And I don't want to do that.
Well, then don't do that. You can always just send somebody to take out, right?
A pater? You expect me to be able to just erase a pater?
As long as it's not you directly, right?
We played that game before and it still has come to me in the ass multiple times.
What about one of your friends here? You brought them, which means that they're fairly influential in your life right now. So how dialed in are we making these guys? Are they gonna actually help? Can you count on them?
You can count on us.
She has some very pointed look. You should know her well enough by now to know what the look means, but she gives him a very pointed look. I would like to count on my friends, but I've had so many friends come into my life, and we on them, and then they murdered, disappeared, they turned on me, so on and so forth.
Well, you ain't gotta worry about one less betrayal. Mr. Orm has informed us of the partnership between your former associate and one Anarch Baron. Miss Ashton.
Wait. Oh. I should have known. She's been missing for a couple days, and as flighty as she was before, I never worried too much about her coming and going, but she has definitively been missing the past couple days. So are you saying that's where she's been?
Not anymore. It's outside of the purview of the city, so it's not really our consideration. But it seems as if she was trying to backdoor a peaceful arrangement between you and a certain Baron. And she forgot the rules of protocol and the fact that she was not in a safe space under the guise of being a member of the tower.
Well, then I'll make sure to pour one out in her honor another time. But that's one less problem I have to worry about.
Not truly. You gotta go make it right. Which is the
What
reason
is-
for our conversation here today. A known catalog member of your social network inadvertently or purposefully sat down with an enemy of the tower at the behest of a lovely, dark-skinned woman such as yourself, ushering in and brokering a communication between the two. Let me paint a picture. No, it's quite alright. Mr. Gabriel, Maxwell says, standing. As a returning a new member to what we have here, allow me. Green, I have heard great things about you from a Mr. Cone Rose, who is no longer allowed in my city. I've heard several good things from a business associate, a Mr. Marshall. I've heard several good things from your regent, and our previous interactions I am willing to view under a new light. However, this is the however. As it stands right now, with plans reaching fruition in regards to all that is Joliet and Naperville, or at least Joliet, making friends and dastardly enemies with Baron Tarnopolsky has a certain stench to it, that while we have information, it is unproven that you were not involved. It is unproven they didn't act on your behest. And with your enemy in the Harpy, by the time news spreads from their lips, you will be in cahoots, unless of course you manage to show proper tower respects to the Baron and make a stink of your friend and associate disappearing into their embrace. So you need to make a stink. You need to make sure that it is clearly known that there is no love gained nor lost between you and the Baron of Joliet. Otherwise, Mr. Stryker, I am sure, will make sure that word spreads of how much of a friend to the Anarchs you all largely are. Our investment in your building, your person, your future demands a return of value and your continued existence. Another way not that I'm sure you would consider it as such, but if you make an example of one of your friends here, say it was all their fault, that would also go a long way as well. We would back your play if you want to do such now. After all, it would be the five of us against whoever you picked between these two to offer a sacrifice.
Should we not just simply continue to pin the blame on the person who is now missing?
Unfortunately, not when she spoke in your name. Unfortunately, when she had witnesses amongst the ministry that she had several clandestine assignations with enemies to the tower. We can't see the future, and you may be able to step past it, and we may be catastrophizing. And if we are catastrophizing, then I will be the first to offer my apologies. But thus far, we have not been wrong about the outcome of certain machinations. We've been a little slow, but we have not been wrong. And the easiest political play here, especially being as the Hoppy does not enjoy your continued existence, would be to make sure that everyone knows that yours, were the brain behind it. Unless, of course, one of these friends, associates, will volunteer themselves to be the patsy for the downfall to keep this from splattering back on you and all of our investment. What say y'all? Either one of y'all willing to earn the Purple Heart of Kendrick Hahn?
What would that mean?
You would be hailed as a hero privately. You would be castigated publicly. You would be destroyed. Your memory tarnished. Your legacy vilified. You'd be a betrayer, a friend, even though we know that you'd be the hero of it all. The rest of the community would know you all as dastardly despicable sorts that sought to undermine your friend, your ally, and your future.
What if I told you I had inroads with enemies of the tower? And my creation of a celebrity villain could create sufficient reason for my appearance there instead of here. And say, since we all know privately what do you call it? Circumstances of my departure, those of us who are in this room now can maintain correspondence as to the goings-on of this particular enemy of the Camarilla.
You know the best part of every conspiracy that actually ever works?
What's that?
The patsy is never there to prove otherwise. Every fall person for the conspiracies that actually work always center on the complete and total disappearance of any proof that would act antithetical to the story that's being told. Your continued existence is not an option. But if you want to continue existing, we completely understand. After all, the things that they come up with these days. Do you know that there is an electronic cigarette that has enough nicotine for an entire carton of cigarettes? And it's electric. You can plug it into your outlet. You never need a lighter. To think that such things are not possible. And on every store corner, and within easy reach of anyone who so is inclined. It's amazing. We are living in the last days, as it were.
Looks at myself. I understand that would be the easiest route to just throw somebody under the bus.
Repeatedly.
I was to take that route in this space. Other than that, what is the most surefire way, besides throwing people under the bus, to make it clear that I did not okay nor know what she was up to, so that it can't be used against us later?
You need to publicly find a way to pick a fight, at least a difference of opinion between yourself and Mr. Tonopolsky.
Who knows that she's dead?
Soon, most of the city.
Right now?
Now, an elite few. Words probably spreading right now to the Hoppy as we speak, which is its own situation. I am not sure how the toreador of old clans have such a very well mapped out information network. I've been trying to find my way in for many years now, and I still have not quite managed it. But I will. I assure
Oh,
you this.
would openly and flouting domain rules, going to Joliet and making it very clear that we are there, stirring the pot, work for that.
It would go a long way towards that ends. It needs to be public, needs to be messy, needs to be big enough that no one could rewrite the story, as it were.
Look at both Theo and Madeline. Well, it seems as though our original plans for this evening would serve us in good stead, but we're going to have to move that to tomorrow night. Behavior.
Looks like it.
We originally planned to go to Joliet, but now we have an even better reason for going to Joliet tomorrow night, and we don't have to worry as much about being stealthy as it was.
Stealthy? No, that is not it. That is not the issue at hand. What you need to do is make sure that you are, in fact, as loud and boisterous as possible. You make sure that there is no agreement between you and the Baron himself. You need to make sure that there are as many witnesses as is feasible for your continued survival, that you all have had words, that you all have a disagreement, that you all are on the outs with one another.
Well then, that's something I can definitely do. As for the other issue that I brought up, she's looking back at Gabriel. Is there any way that you could give me any further information as to how to, like I said, strip the shelter back from her and gain it myself? Or would I just have to do similar to what she did and attune myself?
There are several ways that you might be able to do that, but I ain't got no proof that either one of them is going to work. My suggestion, and this is just my suggestion, it's a lot going on in regards to that, but your buddy Cohen has this thing he says is like a grimoire based on a lodestone, which would give you the energy necessary to undo that. He's unwilling to give me the details, but maybe you can get something out of him for it. Especially being as your buddy Regent Canty is considering sending him to Wilkerton or to his position at the Chantry in Joliet.
Noted. So if I think the deal was Cone, we could possibly take care of several of our problems at one time by me getting the power to back him in his play and get rid of that asshole priest.
Works for me. He's knowledgeable about these things. He's not as knowledgeable as your sire or Sylvia, but he seems to have a way with things, you know?
I'm aware that I am nowhere near as knowledgeable as either of those two women. I have been told that multiple times.
Oh, hey, you getting the wrong idea. I said that he, well, not as good as Josiah, nor as good as Sylvia, and she could do some things with that. But anyway, um, he's pretty knowledgeable. It seems as if I heard that he had a brush with death over there in Gary. That's the reason why Dusable brought him back here and allowed him to work his way into being the regent of Daunton.
Oh, hmm, that's interesting. Okay. Well, hopefully
You
the
know,
school.
just
Well,
between us,
yep.
just between us, and none of you motherfuckers say anything to anybody else about this, but I have it on good authority that he's not even originally from Gary. The way that I hear it, he's originally from somewhere out east, like Washington, Maryland, somewhere in there. But being as I can't prove it, I don't speak on it, and neither should you all.
Make the zip lips throw away the key.
He's saying he
But,
saw it.
but you all got things you need to do. We need to wrap up our little meeting here. Thank you for your time and your presences. I wish you all the best of luck for your evenings. Take care.
Good night, sir.
As everybody kind of gets up to leave, before I go, I just got something sort of curious. What do you know about? And then he kind of describes the woman that had Theo's brother.
He speaks up from beneath the blanket and shawl covering himself. There is a lot that we could know. There's less that we could say. While the names have changed, the Sethite will always have their way. They are mercenaries of truth. So as long as you give them what they think they want, they will leave you be. Is all I can say on this. As the Mr. Gabriel says, have a nice evening.
He nods and they head for the door.
Same guard escorts you all back down the elevator, leaving you all to go gather your things with your key, return it to the concierge, and all of that, giving you all an opportunity as the evening peters away to form a battle plan or not, to eliminate truth or not, to find your way in the dark or not.
So after they've gathered their items, she gives Theo back the gun, even though some of the part of her doesn't want to do that, but Aaron let him have it, so she gives him back the gun and the knife, reattaches all of hers, and looks at him. So your sire's an assassin? Is that what? I mean, I got mercenary out of that. So that seems a little strange.
Oh, she killed me.
That doesn't seem like it was that hard of a task. But
That's just hurtful, just mean and hurtful. He knows
Not
her
to
way
instigate.
around everything.
Not to instigate. Although she did not say it, it very much sounded like, damn, she cleared you low diff.
That was kind of hurtful. I thought we were friends, or something close to it.
being your friend is dangerous. You got an assassin after you.
Oh no, she's not after me. She's after everybody that I know and interact with.
Does this lady have a life?
Not really. I mean, besides killing people, that's kind of her thing.
I mean,
I
she's
do
kind
have a
of.
question.
Yeah.
Was it just me, or did you just have this urge to just talk with your hands and add say capiche every so often?
I am so glad you didn't say that. You would have gotten your ass kicked, and then by definition, my ass kicked. So don't do that.
I was just thinking it really hard. I didn't say anything. I didn't say it. I just thought it.
So what's the plan? Are we going to go busting in there and get your brother back? What are we doing?
You could try that, but somehow I think that a lot of people will die. You know, the
Uh,
whole assassin thing.
was there someone that your lawyer wanted us to take out?
I got
Uh,
from it that she wanted us to go to catch the train like we were doing before I saw her and acting as. That's what I got from it.
no, he wants us to prepare to do something outwardly public and make it not an enemy of ourselves, but a nuisance of ourselves and Juliet. But we can do that tomorrow. Tonight we need to get your brother back and at least figure out what the fuck we can do about your sire, quote unquote, because I still have some questions about that. You said that's your sire. You keep saying that's your sire. They don't very sire-like.
I think that Janie's probably gonna be done with surveillance by the time we get over to the other hotel. So we can set up a plan there based on the information we get then.
Alright, so that's where we're heading.
There is an understood theater to security. People feel safe when the theater is firing on all cylinders. All three rings are in action. The difference between the theater of security and actual security is its efficacy. Theater security is all about deterring by the look of it being difficult to circumvent. The truth of the matter is, the more theater you have, the less safe you actually are. Most people don't learn that ever. And the few who do learn it typically learn it after it's far too late to be of any effect to them. Such is the case for the married woman who is in the hotel room with a partner who is not her wife. A partner who is a tall built, dark-skinned man. Not her blonde-haired, blue-eyed, daily tanned wife. Person who is the antithesis to their otherwise happy home. Government security. Make it to the hotel room. Make your way inside the hotel room because the security on the door is just there for looks. A stiff push from Heship causing the lock to pop. The security bar inside nothing more than lightly pressed aluminum bending in with nary a sound. As the sounds of thorough acrobatic enjoyment of each other reaches your ears. You all making your way through the hotel room, the suite. Sound of water bubbling and bouncing off of the fabricated fall marble of the tub. As you all enter the restroom, the bathroom, finding the couple canoodling and under all of that water, wastefully keeping the faucet open. Looking down on the woman, from a distance, yes, she very much looks like the woman that was with your brother. Looking at the male, from the waist up, he looks nothing like your brother. Physically fit, dark of complexion, not the living embodiment of you. You try not to look waist down. However, the truth of the matter is, all of that water does nothing to hide what's happening underneath. And then they stare doe-eyed and too shocked to scream or yell or move, frozen in their moment of enjoyment. It is 54 after the hour. I'd like to thank you all for a lovely episode. I'll see you guys next week.
Good night.
Bamboozled. They're bait and switch.
Yeah, we got conned.